In today's video, we're going to be going over the hidden pattern, the hidden macro pattern here for Bitcoin. How's that for a good clickbait YouTube title? That has been governing the macro moves for Bitcoin, and of course, going over the objective signals that, once confirmed, will indicate the next major expansion of price action. So without further ado, let's actually just get into it right here. And I made a quick post on this on Twitter this morning, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on this one in today's video. So what is the pattern? Well, the pattern is this. It's actually very simple and obvious, but when you look at price action over the past couple of years, since this bull market really began essentially at the start of 2023, there's been 1, 2, 3, working on 4 major consolidations that Bitcoin has been going through. And all of these consolidations seem to take the form of just one massive rectangle, which is technically a pattern, to be fair. But ultimately, this has been very consistent throughout this cycle, and alongside a couple of indicators, there has been very objective signals that have identified when price is ready to actually break the range, and in all prior cases has moved to the upside. We'll see what this one does over here, but those would be 1, the BBWP representing volatility, and then 2, the stochastic oscillator down here. And the BBWP representing volatility is the key factor of this because it gives us an indication as to how long to expect the consolidation to go on for. And basically, until we see weekly BBWP above about 20 percentile, it's technically a little bit above 20 percentile, but around about 20 percentile or higher, that is when we have seen these ranges actually break. Until then, when BBWP or volatility is very, very low, like it is right now, by the way, it's like literally at 1.19 percentile. Well, you're likely looking at that range, or it's not that you're likely looking at that range, you're looking at that range as continuing to go sideways. So I do want to state first, this range that Bitcoin is in right now does seem that it can, it can very well stay sideways for a while here. But the direction of expansion is obviously not going to be included by a volatility indicator because volatility is direction neutral. So for that, we're going to be using the weekly stochastic oscillator, and you can very quickly identify that in all of the past expansion phases, the one thing that was consistent alongside the BBWP read was also the weekly stochastic oscillator going into or already being in an upwards direction. So as of right now, the weekly weekly stochastic oscillator is still positioned to the downside. As you can see right here, the pivot is at $101,800, which Bitcoin actually fucking traded above last night, which is actually fucking insane. Like, I'm sleeping through the most crazy moves, and then I wake up in the morning, and honestly, when I look at the line chart, it's like, has anything even happened? But yes, a lot of things have happened. Just hasn't been obviously impactful for the greater direction. This has just been kind of a I think I heard Jason or Michael Bazzino state this, that it's a washing machine cycle. And you know what? That's 100% correct in my opinion as well. Because ultimately the line chart is literally looking like just about a line right here. It doesn't really look that crazy despite price action doing some very crazy things. So what is the case that I'm making? 1, Bitcoin, don't expect it to move until we see weekly BBWP at minimum above about 20 percentile or so. From there, it is good to reference the direction of the stochastic oscillator if it is positioned to the upside. A very good indication that we will be seeing the next major expansive move to the upside. In fact, all of these previous phases have followed essentially the same sort of format. Months long consolidation followed by about a month long of trend, followed by another month long of consolidation, another month of trend, another 6 months of consolidation, followed by 2 months of trend. And well, it looks to me like Bitcoin's going to be spending a bit more time in this current region. So until we actually do see these objective signals fire off, I'm not going to be looking for any sort of major, massive breakout or breakdown here. I am biased to the upside overall. Again, as we went over in yesterday's video, several things align with Bitcoin. If you're going to be bullish, like the low, like you'd really expect the low where we saw essentially yesterday, right alongside that red 5 exponential average on the monthly time frame. So ultimately, It's going to be a bit of a waiting game here, but it's a long month left to go. February generally good for Bitcoin, and I don't want to judge things too early when we're literally not even 4 days into this whole month. Anyways, before we go on, I should once again remind you that if you do find this content valuable, consider like and subscribing so you can get these videos imported into your inbox each and every day, which may be of relevance to your information, to yourself. I don't know. You tell me. Anyways, yes. Okay, so we got that. That was the main thing. I do want to get into the weekly HPDR. So not only yesterday did we see it essentially bounce off of the bottom side of the 38.2 level, but on the bounce, it tested perfectly the median, which is 102,500 essentially. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, I don't even think that there's like a threat of a trending breakout move to the upside. And I almost certainly don't think that you're going to get any sort of breakout or breakdown this week. But next week, if Bitcoin does start to reclaim that median, that puts it in a strong position. It's like, maybe a little bit of an early warning signal that we do see this next expansive phase happen. And actually, I'll be uploading a video while I'm traveling, because I'll actually be traveling starting tomorrow. So I'll kind of have like intermittent connectivity to the internet. But I'll be uploading a video sometime this week going over my projections for the likely cycle high, just based off of several things that I've been looking at. I've been holding off on posting this video for a long time, but I do think that, it can provide a lot of color right now, especially in lieu of what has happened, you could even say this week, but basically this whole last month. Anyways, so yes, as long as the weekly is below the median on the HPDR, which it is, wouldn't be expecting anything super crazy, and wouldn't be expecting any breakout to the upside. But at the same time, Bitcoin obviously can play out a nice pullback here. In fact, it already has given up a lot of this rally to start off. What is today? Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday, I think. And when we go over the chart right here and go a little bit more into the lower term time frame, so I'm going to go to the 4-hour time frame here. I do want to plot some of my fibs and just see kind of what has happened. Again, like I wake up and all of the price actions already happened basically. So you can see that this rally did top out at the 618 Fibonacci retracement right here. All lower term time frame trends are in a downtrend essentially. I mean, obviously if you go down to like a 5-minute, that might not necessarily be true, but daily and under are within downtrends. But as we went over in yesterday's video, all of the other higher term timeframes, the ones that really matter for major direction, have failed to, one, make a lower low, and two, for all intents and purposes, are still within an uptrend, just, sideways here. But as it stands right now, how far can this pullback come down? I wouldn't, this might piss some people off, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing come back down to like $95,000 even. But of course, if we do pull a Fibonacci retracement for this current rally on the short term, let's see where those major fibs will be coming in around. Okay, so you got the 38.2 level at basically where things are at right now, very low $98,000 territory. There should be a short-term bounce attempt there. I do think personally that, it's probably, probably going to test a little bit lower. Next, you got 96,800. That's a 50% retracement level. Can almost always bet on the bounce there, not necessarily a confirmed reversal low, but very likely a bounce. And then the 618 coming in around 95,500 or so. So those would be my 3 areas of interest for the short term on a bit of a pullback, today, tomorrow, whatever it ends up being. But again, I keep on going back to this chart right here, for perspective. The line chart tells all, and the line chart has not done anything of significance here. Of course, it's very easy to see here as well that it's, still within an uptrend. And as long as you're above, especially what was this December lows, it's not really, it's hard to be looking for like a major breakdown. But in the short term, like I said, can we see this pullback play out further to the south side? Yeah. And in fact, I think that likely happens. We can go ahead and reference some stochastic momentum here just to see if anything else kind of corroborates that story. Daily time frame continues down as long as Bitcoin's below $100,000. It's probably a good sort of line in the sand right now for, I guess, generally being optimistic on the shorter term time frames. I still remain with optimism for the upside over the long term, but it's more of a timing thing right now. 12-hour time frame is also going to be showing actually the potential to cross up here if Bitcoin can hold above $97,000 before the next 12-hour closure. 6-hour time frame is going to be also actually up above 93,400, and 4-hour time frame is going to be crawling its way up. Will turn down below 97,800. So, yes, the very low term timeframes here are within a downtrend, but and while I do think it could very easily come a little bit lower, I think that would be another opportunity, to be honest with you. I mean, just for some perspective here, despite yesterday's like massive catastrophic fall, Bitcoin did not trade. It didn't even trade below the January lows, and certainly not on a closing basis. I mean, nowhere near. In fact, not even, under the December lows as well. So I do think that warrants a lot of consideration. And like I said, it's probably going to be a bit of a waiting game here. I did also want to come back to one of the charts that we brought out last week. There's been some, there was a lot of interest in this chart, which is great, which is the global liquidity index. We're trying to fit it into a strategy. It's still very, very new. And unfortunately, when I first had it, the creator of it, there was something wrong with one of the pieces of the code. Like one of the factors wasn't working properly. He since fixed it. So we've gone back, we've looked at it again, and I've set this up. This is in no way, shape, or form like a final strategy, but I do think it is very interesting to see that the global liquidity index, represented by this yellow line right here, is coming off of lows and is flirting with the moving average that we have plotted on it. And if we do start to see it really close above that moving average, then I would look at that as another good early, it would likely be an early warning signal of Bitcoin getting ready to move, in this case, to the upside. But as long as it's below it, just like the weekly BBWP, I don't really think that there's like a threat of any major move in the short-term vicinity. So yeah, on top of that, I should go over here. Let's check in on the hourly quantum wave band strategy. See how it did during a dump like this, because one of the things that, I think is very valuable about playing out an automated strategy like the quantum wave bands is, well, it gives you bumper rails, essentially. Like, when price action has a catastrophic day like yesterday, does it keep you safe? Does it keep you out of these tremendously nasty drawdowns? Actually, I would say yes. In this case, it did. It did take losses, sure, but those losses were not super terrible, and did set it up for like a really big winning trade right here. In fact, all the way from under $95,000 closing at $99,000. I mean, not bad. Anyways, so I think kind of more or less turned sideways in terms of P&L yesterday, but just wanted to show how a strategy like this, or really just any systematically based strategy, whether you're using the quant prime, or whether you're using quantum wave bands, or whether you're using your own strategy as well. When you have these hard and fast rules, it's very easy to close trades. And, in these cases, obviously we have hindsight right now, but, while these were losses, it got you out at a price that was much preferable to what happened very soon after that, like this one right here, getting out at about 96 or 97, instead of stomaching the drop all the way down to like 91.5. So, fair enough. But yeah, I'll end things on that note. Like I said, we're going to be traveling. We're going to be traveling tomorrow, and probably going to be jet lagged as fuck for the next few days. So my internet connectivity will be limited, and also my ability to comprehend things probably limited as well. Maybe more so than usual due to the lack of sleep, or whatever the hell we're going to go through. But that'll be for the next few days. If you're trying to reach out, I just want to say we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But just understand that it might take a little bit longer than usual. Usually we say with like less than 24 hours. I'd say right now, might be like 3 days or so from now, or 3 or 4 days from now. Anyways, that's where we'll leave things for today. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. Again, just keep your eyes on the higher term time frames. I mean, that's what I'd be doing in these situations, or that's what I am doing in this situation. Also, because I'm traveling, I don't really want to be caught on the lower term time frames. But hey, one thing that I'll kind of leave you with at the very end of this video is that if we do see this weekly close above the momentum pivot, which is, again, essentially about 102,000 US dollars price per Bitcoin, that would be the next sort of, I guess, green light that tells me, It might not move exactly today, but it is in a potential breakout posture, just awaiting BBWP confirmation. So yeah, that's where we'll end things for now. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. Take care and much love, and see you hopefully in a different country soon.